Hey, on the Pitchbook podcast, we have the famous Charlotte Ducos, who is running for Eagle Mountain City Council. Batter up!
Charlotte, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I'm famous now, apparently.
You are famous. You are also on the biggest podcast in the world, by the way. If you
Fantastic.
already know that, so congratulations. I mean, we don't just take anybody here, right, Matt?
True. We do not just take anybody.
I feel privileged to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
It's good to have you. So, Charlotte, how long have you lived in Eagle Mountain? You've as long as I can remember. I think we moved out here around the same time. I don't know what
Yeah,
year?
we moved in 2000. So we're coming up on our 25-year mark in September. So
Okay.
been here from almost the beginning.
Yeah, you've got me beat. I think we got here in 06, somewhere around there, it feels
There you
like.
go. Still a long time.
2000. Where did you, if you don't mind, are you in the same home that you bought in 2000?
I am.
That's awesome. Okay, so you've seen a lot of growth
Yes.
from 2000 in 25 years. Do you remember what the population was in 2000?
I don't. We bought our property in 98, so like right at the very beginning. And there was one foundation in the ground when we showed up at our property the first time. There were like 5 or 6 houses out in city center. So that's when we bought the property. By the time we moved in, my neighborhood was almost completely in. So that 2 years that we sat on it, we were trying to build equity before we built.
Yep.
And so by that 2 years, my entire neighborhood went in. So kind of fun. But I don't know what the population was, but we still used a stop sign down where the Walmart is right now. So
Oh yeah.
so
Let's see. There was a
that small.
Smiths there. And
What's that?
I said there was a Smiths on the other. Trying to think. There was a Smiths
When you
stop
got there?
sign. There was a gas station. I think that was it.
Yeah, there was not even a Smith's when I got here. So
Redwood was a 2-lane road.
yes, yeah, it was. We've seen a lot in our days here.
Yeah. So you get to do the commute from city center, like when you're heading east, Eagle Mountain Boulevard or through the ranches. So you get to like feel the wonderful roadways through Eagle
Yes.
Mountain. Yeah.
Yeah. Because heading into work, I go into city center, and then I'm back out in the north end
Cool.
to head home. So
Well, we're excited. It's nice just to formally meet you and get to know you a little bit today. Love to hear your background, like pre 2000, before you moved to Eagle Mountain, and then you spent like more than half your life in Eagle Mountain. But would love to hear your story and kind of what brought you up to this point to run for city council.
fantastic. I grew up in Oakley, Idaho, which is a very small town. You had to go there on purpose if you go there. So, but it's a farm community, and my dad's a farmer. So I grew up on a farm. My first job was for my dad, working on the farm, weeding beans by hand, which was very fun. However, I do wish, as a parent, that I would have had the opportunity to give my kids a job like that. I didn't love it at the time, but it was a great way to grow up and learn to work hard and those types of things. So my dad still farms in Idaho. He's a potato farmer and does wheat and hay and corn, whatever the rotation needs at the time. But his primary crops are potatoes and grain and hay. So anyway, so I grew up a farm girl. Our population at home was 636. I think that might still be what's on the sign, though I think it's grown a little bit, but not by very much. So grew up in a small town, really, really loved that. And I lived in the same house my entire growing up, attended school there. I was big into sports, played basketball, volleyball, ran track. I was a power tumbler. So
what is
Yeah,
that?
I don't even know what that is.
Is that like beyond cheer or
Is that
what?
like a really, really difficult somersault? What is that?
Yeah, so power tumbling, floor exercise and gymnastics, right?
Yeah.
So it's the tumbling part. So no dancing, no. You may have seen in the gyms where they practice the big long tumbling floor that's bouncy. That was my gig. So
Like parkour before parkour.
Sure, tumbling runs. The corner to corner tumbling
Yep.
runs that they
Oh,
do
yeah.
in gymnastics.
Okay.
That was it.
That's cool.
That's what I did.
So some round offs and some back handsprings, maybe?
And lots of back
Okay.
flips. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
That
Nice.
was
Very cool.
what I did. I was competitive in that. I actually went to Worlds twice
Awesome.
doing that.
That might come in handy on city council.
Yeah, doing backflips. Maybe so. So that's so I grew up really active. Ran my first marathon right after I graduated. I ran 5 of those, and we can talk about why I haven't run more than that later, maybe. But I graduated from high school and went to BYU and got my education there, my bachelor's, met my husband there, and we got married and lived for 5 years in Provo while I finished school and he did school, and we had our first 2 children in Provo, and then we headed out. We bought land in '98 and then moved out here in 2000. So I've been really active in the city since about, I don't know, a couple of years after I got here. I helped with the very beginnings of our city sports, doing the awards, actually.
Cool.
For like our soccer program. So for years, I ordered the awards. Even after my kids left the programs, I was ordering those and doing those. And then they decided to do them a different way, and I gave that part up. I've been organizing the Meet the Candidate nights for elections since 2003. So obviously not this year because you can't do that if you are a candidate.
Oh, darn it.
Yeah. So, but all of the meet and greets and debates and things like that, that's kind of what I've been doing. Done my time in PTA. I'm still a member of PTA as a teacher. Did some advocacy work with the district, with the Alpine School District prior to becoming a teacher. I actually graduated from BYU with a degree to teach, but ended up having my family instead and was home with them for about 17 years before going to work at their school. So my 2 youngest were in 2nd grade and 4th grade when I went back to school, and I taught at Black Ridge where they were going to school for the first 5 years. And then I've been at Cedar Valley ever since. So I don't know, that was a little bit all over the place. Maybe did I miss anything?
No, that's awesome.
Okay.
So grew up in Idaho, small town, grew up farming.
Yep.
I share
Yep.
in your sentiment that hauling hay, doing that like heavy lifting is good for the soul. Although when you're young, you hate it. It's the worst.
I did not like it growing up, but I'm very grateful for it now. So
it makes you grateful to have like an office job or to not be hauling hay. I remember thinking I was a hod carrier for a while, mixing cement and carrying bricks. And I remember thinking, accounting sounds really nice right now. I think I'll do that.
Yeah.
Or something in that field.
Can definitely hear that.
So, all right. So moved to Eagle Mountain. It sounds like you've been really involved in the city. Maybe tell us a little bit about just, I always love to hear people's trials, like what they had to really either power through or overcome. If you're willing to share.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I am first and foremost a parent right now. And I think the easy answer is it's always hard when your kids are going through something hard, right? But definitely not wanting to make this all about airing my children's difficulties. I will choose one of my own instead. Probably the biggest thing that I have had to overcome, and I kind of hinted at this earlier. I used to be really, really active. Did all the sports, and had started running marathons. And a few years in, I to the marathon running, I started developing arthritis in both hips. And I, at the age of 32, was diagnosed with arthritis, and um, basically had to quit doing anything active at all, which is really tough when that's kind of how you define yourself growing up, right? I was an athlete, and that was something that mattered a lot. And so I, going to see the doctors and things like that, they basically said your hip x-ray looks like you're 65, but 32 is too young for a hip replacement. And so, I was basically told walk until you can't walk anymore. And so there was about 10 years where I pretty much hobbled everywhere that I went. And couldn't do the activities and things that I wanted to do, which is fine. But it is where I started putting my attentions to other places. I started writing some doing some songwriting. So that's something that I do.
Now, did you can't just skip over that? Did that make it to getting published, or
I do have
your music?
I do have a website. It's religious music, so we'll give that disclaimer.
That's fine.
Yeah, so it's religious music, and that just kind of became my hobby there. That and being involved in my kids' schools and things like that. But when I was 42, I was carrying a box into the school and in some snow and fell down. My hip just gave out. So I figured, well, I did what they told me to. I walked until I couldn't walk anymore.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I went in and I ended up having both hips replaced. And
at the same time?
No, they don't do that.
Okay. I was going to say that sounds crazy.
Yeah, you lose it. So actually, I felt better coming out of surgery than I did going into surgery. Mm-hmm. Just because I was in so much pain, during that 10 years, that I felt so much better when I came out. And but they can't do both at the same time because you lose too much blood.
Okay.
It's a heavy, it's a pretty hefty surgery, and so they won't do both hips at the same time.
Got it.
So I did them 6 months apart, and when they get you up and walking, it's incredible. My doctor basically gave me second chance at life. Never underestimate the gift of walking. Especially walking without pain, right? Mm-hmm. And so they get you up immediately as soon as you can feel your feet and are awake. And so they got me up for my first walk. I think it was 3 hours post-surgery. And I got up and I started walking and I started crying. And they're like, wait, do you need to go sit back down? Is everything okay? And I was like, no, you don't understand. I have not had this easy a time walking since for 10 years. And so it was a huge success. So that was getting kind of through that time was probably the biggest obstacle that I have had. I didn't want to take a bunch of medication. I was 32 and I didn't want to be on painkillers for the rest of my life. So I really just didn't take any. So that and redefining myself, because they determined that I got the arthritis because I had been doing all of my sports on hips that had dysplasia. So so it was dysplasia that caused it. And they basically said, because of that, you really shouldn't be doing anything.
So this was something that even when you were in high school or younger,
I was doing the damage then, but I wasn't feeling it then.
Okay. Yeah. It showed up later. Gotcha. Yeah. Wow. Thanks.
So So anyway, but I'm great now, and super, super grateful for modern medicine and Dr. Hansen.
All right. Dr. Hansen.
Yeah.
What about your biggest success up to this point?
My family, hands down. I love that. Oh, I love my kids. I love my husband. I'm grateful for that. I know that that's not something that everybody gets to say, and so I'm very grateful for that. My children are first and foremost amazing human beings, and I love that. I can't take credit for all of that. There's a lot of choices that get made as individuals.
Just 98%.
No, I don't know that I don't know. You have children. I think you know better than that.
Oh, I do know. It's Tiff. 98%.
Oh, it's about 100% me. That's for sure. I don't know about you guys, but
oh gosh, no. I just it's been so fun to watch them, like learn and grow and just become the amazing human beings they are. So I'm super grateful for that. Outside of that, I am just finishing up my master's degree, and doing a master's degree while teaching and raising a family at the same time is not a small thing.
No,
and so
it's busy.
Yeah, and I had the opportunity to do that through the James Madison Fellowship, which is a congressional fellowship.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's to study American history and government. So
you weren't busy enough. You decided to run for city council, right?
Well, I'm just finishing that up. So
okay. She's filling her time, Matt.
No, I'm joking.
It's like, what else could take?
No, I wanted to get. I didn't want to interrupt, but I wanted to. So you moved here, even before Zach and I did. I think I moved in 2004. So you've been here 25 years or so.
Yeah,
what made you? And then you were involved. You organized the Meet the Candidates nights. But what's the catalyst right now for running for city council now?
Yeah, great question. So I've been a political junkie for a really long time, but never a politician. I'll explain. I remember being 5 years old when I found out that my grandfather was in the Idaho House of Representatives. And I just remember thinking that was so cool. So I've always loved government. It's just something that I've always had my eyes on. And so I'm not one of those that will say, I never even thought about running, because I did. I grew up around it, and I've always thought it was really cool. I had an amazing history and government teacher in high school who inspired me further. And so it was kind of always something that I thought maybe I would do. And but it was, I was raising my family, and I wanted to give my time to them. And so it just wasn't time yet. I've been asked over and over again, like, will you run? When are you going to run? School board, city council, mayor, like lots and lots of, invitations. And it was just never the right time. And so why this time? My kids all graduated. I was a band mom for 14 years, and my last one just graduated. So I'm not doing that anymore. And I'm just finishing up my master's degree. And so when I was asked again this year, will you do this? I was told to. But when he said, hey, you should do this, I thought about it, and, for the first time, it just seemed like the right time. And why do I think it's important? I think it's important because the city government is the level of government that most impacts you day to day.
For sure.
Everybody wants to talk about presidential elections. Everybody wants to talk about state elections. When you have those elections every 4 years, you get much higher turnout. But the truth of the matter is, where the rubber hits the road literally is on the city level. And so the policies that get made at that city level, those are the ones that are going to impact both me and my neighbors and everyone that lives here. And so it's important to have people who understand what's going on, and who want to make a difference and want to make good decisions, and are willing to listen, and who have some leadership to do that. And I feel like the experience that I've built up over the time that I've been here, both working with the city, holding events, working with schools, doing advocacy, I feel like those have positioned me in a place where I understand how things work, and I just want to do something good for our city. I just feel like it's important for good people to be involved and to make that difference. And so that's my why. I don't have a specific agenda. I have picked out specific issues that I think are particularly important, but they aren't everything by any means. And it wasn't like I was fed up with something and decided to run. And I'm not running against someone. I'm just running to do a job because I feel like I can do it well.
So what are those issues that you think are important?
Yeah. So the issues that I've mentioned on my website and on my literature, that type of thing. The first one is transportation. I think if you are from Eagle Mountain and transportation isn't your first answer, you might work from home.
It's my first answer, and I do work from home. So
like a Jeff Foxworthy. If you are not complaining about traffic, you might work from home.
Yeah. So, which is funny. My husband does work from home, but I do not. And so traffic has to be the first answer, and it's been the first answer for a really, really long time. And so, and I don't know that it's going to go away anytime soon because these things do take time, but there are things that we can do to be proactive, to look down the road and make sure that my primary thing is we need more ways in and out of this town. I know some of those things are being worked on, which is great. We need to continue to be that squeaky wheel and get those additional ways in and out. Maintenance is important. Adjustments are important. New roads are great, but we really need more east-west ways out of town. And working with MAG, Mountain Land Association of Governments, working with UDOT to get those taken care of, that's what we need. We need to be on top of that. And that's not a slight on the council or mayor that's there right now. It's just it needs to be an area of focus that that I want to continue working on. And then something else on the transportation that I would like to talk about is being proactive about communication before roadwork starts.
That is a novel idea.
Yeah. So I've noticed two instances just in the last little bit where some proactive beforehand communication, the information came out eventually. But if it had been done beforehand, I think that it would have been very beneficial. The first one was the chip seal. I grew up in rural Idaho. Chip seal was the way we did roads. You put down some tar, you scatter some gravel, you drive on it for a little while, you've got a great solid road, and it really can build a good solid road. But if you've never seen chip seal done before, which most people that are more used to a city are used to, I mean, they're not used to that it's alarming that they just threw down tar and scattered gravel. My road was perfectly fine, and now it's not, right? And so a couple days after the chip seal was done, a really great piece came out in the city newsletter that you can sign up to get an email. And that same piece 3 weeks sooner would have saved a lot of angst. I'm sure of it. There still would have been some upset people. Not everybody reads that, but at least the effort would have been there, so so proactive on that. And the other one is the roundabout information, like how long is it going to be torn up, and what is this going to look like, and what's the traffic pattern during that time period, and here's the reason why we're doing it. And I think that different pieces of that have come out throughout the time that it's been going on. But I do think that proactive beforehand, comprehensive information on what to expect could really have helped in that transportation thing. We cannot get the transportation that we need, the roads and things like that, without a little bit of pain. It's going to happen. But if you know how it's going to impact you before it impacts you, you're much more likely to be understanding of that, especially because then you can plan your route around it, or, whatever else needs to happen. So
you hit like a super controversial button, roundabouts. I lived in England for a couple years.
Yeah.
Came back. I'm like, why aren't we doing this?
Yeah.
Matt, you go to England all the time.
Yeah.
So the pro roundabout, anti roundabout. Where's Charlotte Ducos on this controversial subject?
I'm not opposed to roundabout. The issue with the roundabout where it was is it was not injured. It was not engineered for the amount and type of traffic that we were getting in that location. Because of the work going on at the data center, which is not going to stop anytime soon and has been a huge boon to our city tax base. Because of the construction that's going on out that direction and construction of homes, lots and lots of trucks are headed through there. Roundabouts are not ideal for large trucks. And it's not just the trucks, it's the large number of, of cars that are going through there. That particular roundabout was just not engineered for that amount of traffic. And then if you look at, do we re-engineer the circle? Or
Like
do we
shrink it, make the middle smaller
or
bigger.
widen
Yeah.
or widen. I'm not privy to numbers to know if it would have been cheaper, more expensive, whatever else. But to me, it makes sense. Just strip that away, repave, and we have a major intersection, which is what is needed in that spot. And so that's, to me, I'm not anti-roundabout, but I do believe that one needed re-engineered, and the choice was made to engineer it into a straight intersection, which I think was probably the right decision. My understanding is that the traffic study warranted that, and so that's kind of my take on that. But I'm not pro tearing out all roundabouts. Just that one. That one needed to hold more traffic than it could.
Gotcha.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
And
So
go ahead, Matt.
No, I was going to go back to her main things that are important to her, which was transportation, and there's kind of an A/B part to that. I just wanted to get what else besides transportation are you concerned about?
Yeah. So after transportation is affordable housing. My kids are at the ages where they're moving out. One of them's married, and all of them would like to eventually buy a home. And right now, that is very hard to do. It's very, very expensive. And the state has also mandated that we have a specific amount of affordable housing in our city. And as we meet that state mandate, it's really important to me that we don't just do what many do when it comes to affordable housing, and that is pile them deep and high and make it high density, very small, but still not affordable. And so what we need to do is find ways to make it advantageous to builders and to homeowners to provide those lower income options, lower cost options for that demographic that needs that just startup product or something that is just really affordable. There's a product that I've heard about that's kind of making its way through that I really like. It's little pods, not really a pod, but like a home here or there. That's a low income type home, but it's mixed in with other types of products in a regular neighborhood. So you don't end up with stacked high and deep, which stereotypically leads to higher crime. The statistics show that. And instead, it's putting it scattered throughout and just it's part of the neighborhood. I really like that concept. I would love to see more about that. It was just an idea that I had heard, and I like that idea. I also am in favor of accessory dwelling units as long as traffic and parking have been mitigated for that, because those can be very helpful and generally are more affordable than purchasing a home as well. So just trying to provide a variety of ways to meet that need in our community, rather than just slap up apartment houses that are still expensive in the name of meeting a state mandate. So that's on affordable housing.
How do you, if I could just maybe throw something in here, there's a big gap between the city transportation and state transportation. And we've got SR 73, which is a state road. And
Right.
I've interacted on both sides, calling UDOT, and it's like, we don't care. Like, you don't matter. You're one person. Like,
Yeah.
they've got bosses at the state that they have to answer to. And it's certainly not people that are interacting with their roads every day.
Yeah.
On city council, how would you like bridge that UDOT I just think there's a huge lack of care or concern or connection there. And if you go to the city, you hear, well, that's a state road. And if
Yeah.
you go to UDOT, well, that's a city issue. And it's like, well, what am I going to do? You know? So I would love to hear your ideas on maybe how to get UDOT, not to kneel, but just like
Pay attention.
pay attention. Yeah.
I mean, and to make that even more complicated, we also have county roads that are,
Sure.
that are maintained by the county in Eagle Mountain as well. And so the important thing is we do have people that sit on boards with the state that have conversations with UDOT. We have had limited success with UDOT, even trying to get like additional bus routes and things like that. So it is always it's a struggle for sure. But the way that we have an impact there is continual conversation, sitting on boards, attending those meetings, inviting them out during rush hour traffic is a really great way to
Yeah.
help
No
them
kidding.
see and feel that. And I know that we have done that as a city before as well. To let them kind of experience what it's like out here during that time, but sitting on those boards, being proactive in those discussions, making phone calls to those decision makers, and you're right. Maybe as a citizen, they don't care, but as a city council member, it matters more. If you can get MAG on your side, Mountain Land Association of Governments, they have a transportation map as well. If you can get them on your side and attend those meetings, then MAG has even more clout than just one individual city, because MAG is a group of cities. And so just finding that leverage wherever you can and networking until you get the ear of the right person or group of people and get it on that map. And then you have to go after the funding.
Yeah.
I know that it's also probably a hot topic that our city has in the past. I'm not sure if we have one currently, but we have in the past paid a lobbyist. That can sometimes be really good money spent, because then you have somebody there advocating for your cause where the decisions are made, talking with people and having those connections. Now, I'm not saying that's the case every time, but I'm saying that, if politics is a game, sometimes you've got to play. And so you do that when you need to. And so you have to kind of weigh out each decision, but we need to keep having and making and creating better relationships that get that voice heard,
Yeah.
getting our population numbers in their ears, those types of things.
I was reading earlier today that by 2030, they're expecting a 135,000 unit shortfall in homes in Utah. And I thought Eagle Mountain does have a lot of leverage. We have a lot of land,
Yeah.
but so I think at some point the state's going to have to, whatever they've been doing hasn't worked. They're going to have to.
Well, and we've gone back and we've gone back and forth between talking about housing and transportation.
Yeah.
But they are interrelated. There are relationships between those, and putting in the number of units that you're talking about without addressing the road situation is a huge issue. And I don't know if you know this or not, but cities are not actually allowed to put a moratorium on building permits. The state law does not allow that. So
Yeah,
I hear a lot of times people say, like, we just need to stop building, stop approving it.
Yeah.
We literally don't have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
So you're right. What we have to do is stay on top of state and county decision makers, and especially where one of our main thoroughfares is not even a road we control. We have to be in the middle of those conversations. We have to.
Yeah.
And so government. I have said it in my classes. Government is a group project, and you have.
I hate group projects,
but you have to do it. That's what I tell them when I make them do their final project as a group project. And you know what? Government is a group project. This is a government class. You have to work with people. You
That's
have
true.
to be willing to talk to people, and you have to be willing to find solutions that work for everybody. And that's a skill that I feel like I have, finding win-win situations, staying on it until you find a solution, even when it didn't look like a solution was possible. Um, that's something that I want to do when it comes to transportation. Is I don't like to hear that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't like to hear we can't do that. I understand that sometimes things take time, but just a flat out that's not going to happen when it needs to happen. I'm really not here for that. So.
Agreed. Amen. Amen to that. So at a macro level, transportation, redefining residential, kind of mixing in smaller homes and some of these bigger developments, spreading that out, uh, getting on committees and boards with UDOT and MAG. Maybe tell. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the thing that ties those together is proactivity. We've got to be out there making those solutions happen, because the tying effect for all of those, whether it be housing,
Yeah.
transportation, and those boards, is it's not going to come to us. It's not going to just automatically happen. And so we have to get out there. And if it's not happening the way we're currently doing it, we need to look for another way
Yeah.
to make that happen. And so that's the thing where, like, if all of the asking and boards and whatever isn't doing it, then what's the out of the box solution? What's the thing that we need to do? And So that's, I don't know, that's kind of the sewing together point of those topics that you just brought up. What was the question that you were going to ask?
I have like 10 more.
Great, go
But
for it.
Matt, do you have any other?
Nope, it's all you, Zach. I just want to be well before if we're gonna move on. Is there anything besides transportation boards, committees, and housing that you want to talk about as far as like what you think is important? Any other
Well,
thing that's worth mentioning?
yeah, the other two things that I've kind of made the ones that I put on my literature are education and communication. The communication would be that proactive communication that
Hmm.
I'm talking about. I feel like the city has lots of great routes to get information. You can go sign up for an email list where you get emails for all of the city council and planning agendas. You can get a weekly city newsletter. They've got Rumor Stop. There's lots of avenues there, but sometimes you have to step outside of those to do some of that proactive communication. And so it's more using the things that we have and doing that in a proactive way that can reach more people before the impact happens. And then education, I'm a teacher, and so education is going to be important to me. This district split that's going on right now was
Yeah.
city initiated. And so as a city, we need to make sure that we're doing things that help that process, not hinder it.
Did you do
Um,
you support that split of the district? I know there were a lot of teachers that were against or for. Or what were your
yeah.
thoughts in that process?
So first, I'll say I have loved working for Alpine School District. I've been treated well. I love the school that I work in, and so what I'm about to say is not anti-Alpine School District. I was in favor of the split, but here's why. And I've actually already made this. I did a video during the split process that went out on social media. So this is not anything that I'm telling you that's new. But for me, the tipping point was when the 2022 bond did not pass. Eagle Mountain and Saratoga Springs voted in favor of that bond. Everyone else voted against it. And if you have a child, excuse me, in school out here, you know that it was not a want, it was a need. We have over 3,000 kids, significantly over 3,000 kids at Cedar Valley right now. Westlake has the same. We're opening a new middle school, so we'll lose a few of those, but they say within 3 years we'll be back to that number. Um, and Westlake they already took out their ninth graders, so they're already well above capacity and no way to get relief without an additional school. And so the failing of that bond was a huge problem. And then additionally, that next spring, the legislature was closing a funding mechanism that that we had used. We actually used it to get the middle school that's on the north side of the highway. That loop was being closed, and we had a certain amount of time by which we could use that funding mechanism to get the high school that we needed to relieve Westlake. And that item was put on the board agenda with the school district. And there were members from the east side that removed that from the agenda, making it so that we lost that funding mechanism and therefore no school. So here we are 3 years later. We just barely broke ground for that school, and it is only because we secured that split and moved forward as only the west side that was going to fund that. And so those tipping points, that's why I came down in favor of that split. But as a city council, we need to make sure that we're making decisions that benefit our schools, and communicate with the school district, the new ones, so that they're making decisions that don't hurt the city as well. That as we're choosing sites for schools, as we're putting in crosswalks, as we're doing the things that schools and districts have to do, we're doing that in a way that works with city plans, and that we're partners rather than fighting against one another. I think there's also some great opportunities for public-private partnerships with school district and cities, and hopefully maybe some developers that are putting in developments, things like that. An example of that, once the new school gets built, we're going to have 3 high schools and no pool. So we either get to tell our students that we will no longer be having a swim team, or we have a problem to solve. And with 4 cities and 3 high schools and lots of development going on that requires recreation as part of their development, it just seems like there is an opportunity there. And that's something that I would like to take a look at. Not because I want to get into the argument about a recreation center, but because we have,
But
we have,
you don't
we have
have to have a
students.
rec center. You could have lanes to compete in for swimming or
Right. And you could build it in such a way that you can add onto it
correct. Yep.
if the public ever supports the rec center. But it's, to me, I see them as 2 separate problems that could have a similar solution or a combined solution. But again, we're telling kids, no, you don't get that program if we don't find a way to solve that problem. And it seems like there are enough entities that have that benefit from that, that we ought to be able to find a solution. So
Yeah, that makes sense. I've always thought that seems reasonable to start with a block. Maybe you have a pool with lanes that, I mean, I would totally buy a pass to go swim.
yeah.
Vasa is just like not big enough.
Well, and I used to go down periodically to the Legacy Center, and that you do
Yeah.
spend more time driving
Yes.
than you do swimming. And at some point that becomes not
True.
something that makes sense to do. So I think, like I said, I'm not in favor of raising everyone's taxes to do it, but it seems like there ought to be partnerships available that that would split that load enough that that it can be made to work with budgets and things like that. So, but that's something that I would need to be in the position to take a look at.
Okay. A couple other things. I know our time is kind of drawing near, so I'll just narrow it down. So we've been talking about big picture roads, housing, education. Maybe tell us in those micro decisions. I went to city council a couple of weeks ago, and they had 5 or 6 agenda items, and it's not just the big picture stuff. One of the issues that came up were people renting out their lots. They have a larger lot for stacking in 4 or 5 trailers for additional income, even though their neighborhood isn't zoned
Yeah.
for that. And do we want to police that? So there's these other things that come up naturally.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have to address that issue specifically, but maybe just tell us at a micro level how you think about things. Are you more of a let people do what they want, it's their land, or let's follow the law, the code? Like where do you fall in this? And
Yeah. So that's a really great question. So there's a lot of things to consider, and it kind of depends on the situation. But the first thing you have to look at is what's the law, right? What's legal here, and can we, what can we do or not do here? It doesn't matter if I don't like what my neighbor is doing if it's legal for them to do it. I can work with the city to change the law. I can work with the city to, to address something that's causing an issue. But if what they're doing is not illegal, then then we probably shouldn't stop them from doing it, unless it's causing some sort of a nuisance. And so the first thing is, what does the law say? And then the second one is, what is the message? What's the actual problem? And I actually, just before getting on this, I was invited to a cottage meeting in a neighborhood, and was kind of given here's something that you're going to hear from the residents. And so one of the things I was doing right before I got on this podcast was I was out driving in that neighborhood to check out what they were talking about, so that I could see for myself what the issue was. And I think that's a really important part of it. So get in and talk to the people who are affected, take a look at what's going on. You mentioned the idea with trailers sitting and, so I would need to go look at that. I would need to go see, like, what kind of, is it creating a nuisance? Is it causing problems with parking? What is the actual complaint that we're hearing here? Because sometimes the law isn't clear enough and you have to make decisions. And I think that's basically what you're asking. Like, when it's not clear, how do you make that decision? Well, you've got to talk to the people who are affected, and then come up with something that's common sense. I think that it's important to allow people to do what they need to do and live their life, as long as it's not hurting others and not against the law. But if it's hurting others or is against the law, then it needs to be handled. But I'm a really big win-win person. I always am going for the win-win. And so if that can be found, that's where I would go first, is what can we do so that everybody gets a little bit of what they need, rather than picking winners and losers. Where's the compromise? How can we make this better for everybody?
Yeah. Yeah. That seems reasonable. Matt,
Zach, before you get to the
ahead.
wrap up, as far as like how we get a hold of Charlotte, how do we look up what her platform is and things like that. The one thing I just was curious about is, and this is maybe a bit of a softball question, but you're unique in that you've studied government in
Yeah.
your schooling and continue to do so and teach it. Why? I mean, does that give you an advantage as far as being on city council, as opposed to someone who just was mad that a stop sign was in the wrong place and decided to go for city council? I mean, what advantages do you bring that are unique to you, I would say?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would think that the advantage is I know I've read the Constitution. I know how to read code. I know how to look up code. I've read it before. So there's some of those advantages. I would hope that reading the Constitution isn't an advantage, because I would hope that more people have done that. Um,
You'd be surprised.
I wouldn't, actually. So I don't feel it's an unfair advantage. I feel like it's something that anybody could choose to have, but it is something that I already have done. Obviously, we don't go by the Constitution solely in Eagle Mountain. We have our Eagle Mountain codes as well. So those all do have to follow the Constitution, both the state and the national. But we have our own as well, and so that's something that everybody would come in needing to learn a little bit more about. So, as far as an advantage, being in the language, understanding how government in general functions, I think that yes, I would probably have a little bit of advantage there. But there's always more to learn, and I think my curious nature and my ability to ask questions and to go digging is probably the qualities that are going to help. And I think that those have come from understanding how the system works and working within it before, because this won't be my first time dealing with government. It's not the first, when I'm making phone calls, it's not the first time I've done that. When I work with whatever city council members. I know all of them already.
Mm-hmm.
I know leaders at the state level already, some of them, not all of them, but but I'm not afraid to make those connections, and to leverage those in getting the attention of the people that we need to talk to.
All right,
So
Zach, your chance. Your time to wrap it up or ask the final question or whatever you're going to do.
I think this is great. I mean,
We got to
it's
ask the
been
book question, right? I don't know if we even prepared Charlotte
okay.
for that.
What's the book
So
question?
we are.
Oh, I didn't prime. I didn't.
Yeah, this is good. This is going to see how Charlotte handles
Surprise
being on her toes.
question. Yeah.
So
Bonus question.
the Pitchbook podcast is all Zach's idea because he likes to read nonfiction books, and so do I. And so that's why he recruited me to this podcast. And so it's history, it's nonfiction, it's whatever we find interesting, financial books, sales books, whatever it is.
History.
History, we love history. Anyway, so just curious what's kind of one of your favorite books that you like to recommend to people, or maybe what you've been reading recently that you like that you might recommend as far as a book.
Well, most of what I've been reading goes along with my degree, because most of the reading I've been doing is for that. I've read a lot of really great texts with that, because my degree is based on primary texts, primary sources. So I've read a lot of those. I just finished.
What was your degree in, or what is it?
American History and Government.
Your master's?
My master's it's a master's in American History and Government.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Yeah. So my last two classes were on women's role in American history and politics, and the role of religion in American history and politics. So that's what I've been reading about, and it's just scattered primary sources there. Probably the well-worn text from my reading for my degree is my collection of Lincoln texts. So Abraham Lincoln, all of his speeches. It's a very long book, but he gave some incredible. Lincoln was a statesman.
Are you sure? I thought he only had one speech, only one big speech that he talked about. That's all I can remember.
No, and that one was incredible. But I think that we would all be well off to read a little more Lincoln.
There you go. Perfect.
Agreed. That's fantastic. What's that book called?
To give you the actual one, I would have to look at it at the school. It's in my classroom.
But it's got all of Lincoln's speeches.
It's the Lincoln speeches collection. Okay. I don't remember. It's got a much better name than that.
I've got Team of Rivals on my desk to read, which is a great Lincoln book, and I'm reading George Washington's his biography by Ron Chernow right now, which is excellent. So good. Thank you for that recommendation.
Yeah, I will get you the real name for it, because it's fantastic. It has not only the main speeches that he wrote, but letters that he sent to people and excerpts of speeches that maybe made it into a speech, maybe didn't. In fact, a fragment of a letter that he wrote has one of his more prominent quotes, where he refers to the Declaration of Independence as the apple of gold in a frame of silver, I think is the quote. And that's it wasn't even a full letter. It was like just a few. That one, it's been, like I said,
it makes you wonder in 200 years if people be like, oh, I have an original email from Charlotte.
I've got a text from Matt. It's really profound.
It's a primary source.
I'll be 10 minutes late.
Actually, those texts and emails are already considered to be primary sources.
So. Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so go ahead, Zach. I was just gonna say the typical wrap up of where can we find out more about you? What is there a website? Is it Facebook? Where can people go to find more out about kind of your candidacy?
Probably the easiest place to go, because my website link is a little long. So the easiest place to go is Facebook, where you can find me at Ducos for City Council. And if you go there, the link to my website is in that bio. And on my website are my positions on certain topics. You can get my contact information there as well, my email, my phone number, those types of things are all on that bio.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Last chance, Zach. Anything else?
No, that's great. Charlotte, thank you for your time. We know you're busy out campaigning and meeting with citizens all over, and we just really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, it's really
Well,
good to
thank
get to
you.
know you. So
Yeah.
thanks for hopping on. Everybody, thanks for listening to the Pitchbook podcast. Like, subscribe, let your friends know about it. Thanks to Deja Vega for the music. We'll catch you next time on the Pitchbook podcast.